Hey, Alexa, what crap did John Hicks say this week on the radio? I'm sure I don't want to hear it, but I'm interested to find out.
Helping you solve the retirement puzzle. Welcome to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
Here with John Hicks, I'm Jennifer Perry. We'd love to hear from you here on the Retirement Solution podcast. You can always drop us an email with any questions for John at retirementsolutionradio.com. Now, of course, all the talking heads are out there right now, John, talking about restarting the economy. I know for President Trump, last week he said this is going to be the biggest decision of really his presidency, probably his life, actually, even as a businessman, because you think about this, that tricky balance of like protecting our health, but also getting us back to work. Because I don't know about you, but I know several people who've been affected by layoffs, furloughs,
of course,
and are feeling the pain right now. So it makes you wonder, how long will this slowdown last? When will we come out of this thing? And no one knows for sure, but White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow told Fox Business it could be another month or two before the turnaround really begins.
I do not think it's going to get any better in the weeks immediately ahead. I do think, however, that this will prove to be temporary. This is not going to last throughout the year. And I do think that we will see a very strong economic recovery when this has played itself out.
So he sounds pretty actually optimistic there, John, but I know, he's a White House advisor. He's going to have to sound optimistic, right?
Larry is paid to sound optimistic.
Right. Yeah.
When things are the most doom and gloom. Larry Kudlow is a very well-respected person of the financial community. He used to be on a show, and most people may not be aware of this. He used to be on a CNBC show with Jim Cramer. It was called Kudlow and Cramer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty well thought of, for the most part, because Kudlow is an economic guy, but he understands the political piece of the puzzle. Jim Cramer likes the finance piece. He likes the sexy sex appeal to things.
Yes.
So it made a pretty good show overall. Mm-hmm. But here's an interesting thing. And Jennifer, I think that we should all take this with kind of a grain of salt. Larry Kudlow, is the mouthpiece for the presidency, is really wanting to paint a pretty good picture here. But I'm going to be very honest. I think there's two things we have to understand. Number one, I don't think it's 50-50, okay? So there's two schools of thought right now, Jennifer. Number one, the economy, once we get through this initial health shock and people are not, the casualty rate is diminishing, right? Mm-hmm. The market will just come back through the roof and the economy will come right back. And they're calling this what they call a V-shaped formation.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot in the last few weeks.
And so I'm going to explain this because a lot of people have heard it, but they don't know what it means. So just like we saw the market at the very end of February kind of free fall, right? And it kind of hit a low point. It happened in less than 30 days, guys. The market fell down. The Dow Jones fell 35%. In less than a month.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. But then what happened is that we've had some bits of decent news and there's some speculation going on and the market's kind of come back a pretty good bit. So what Larry Kudlow is saying is that, hey, we're feeling it's going to be a month or two of some kind of bad news. But once the economy gets humming again, we're looking for a sharp V-shaped formation, which means that now that we've started coming up, we're just going to continue that way. Mm-hmm. Now, that's one piece of the puzzle. Now, here's the other side to that, Jennifer, and this is kind of the side, unfortunately, I hate to say it, this is the side I seem to gravitate to.
Uh-oh.
Because I would love the optimistic piece of this, but there's a secondary piece of this. So, yes, I think that it's great. We're starting to see the curve flattening. I think that people are getting less ill. At least this is what we're hoping. Mm-hmm. And it would be wonderful. The president really wants to open the economy, guys. No one wants to sit at home and not make money. It's very difficult. Yeah. And he knows he's got that weight on his shoulders. But here's the issue. Here's my biggest fear is that even if the economy is on the right trajectory, my fear is that the stock market is only in the next several months going to be feeling the true aftermath of what happened. So this is earnings season, whether anyone is aware of this or not. Now, in this week and next week, most corporations are going to be announcing, hey, how much money did they make? How much did they lose? How much were they off by what they thought was going to happen?
And that includes the last part of March, too.
Oh, my goodness. That's the whole thing. So if we look at it, and there's two pieces of the puzzle here, though, Jennifer. We had almost 2 full months. We had almost 2 months where companies were able to make money. I think a lot of them did in January, in the first 3 quarters of February, right? Mm-hmm. It was in March that they really, we kind of shut down the economy.
Yeah.
So we only have 1 bad month of the first quarter that could have been very horrible, to be honest. And we're learning this right now. Here's my bigger piece of the puzzle, though, is that now we've been shut down for most of April. It looks like we're going to be shut down for a good bit of May. Mm-hmm. And maybe in June, the question is, can these companies, if we're allowed to go back to work then, can they actually make enough money coming back? Can they get those employees to get retooled, right?
Yeah.
Do they want to bring all those employees back? For that matter,
right?
I think they
might have figured out who's actually
right.
contributing right now and who's not, based on the work from home thing.
And I tell you what, I talked to a physician the other day, and he's like, John, I hate to tell you this, but I'm feeling that same question. We realized that we had a pretty large staff, and a tremendous amount of them did a killer job, but we realized we were probably about 15 to 20% too heavy in people. Now we realize that we don't need those people, and those people probably will not be rejoining us back when we come back from this. How many other companies are going to be doing the same thing? Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, leads to a recessionary environment where we don't have the same jobs that we used to have. Maybe we don't have the same opportunities that we used to have, and that can create an issue. So my hope is that we do have a V-shaped recovery, but my thought is that when we see in that second quarter, which we're in now, when we see the second quarter numbers, how many companies lost how much money? What can they do with less workforce? My fear is that we're going to go down again.
Yeah.
I don't know this. I have no idea. My crystal ball broke in the dishwasher.
Long time
I blame
ago.
my wife for putting it in there, but it has been cloudy to the point where I can see nothing. So those are the two sides, though. Larry Kudlow is kind of painting, and he said, he prefaced everything by saying, hey, listen, the next several weeks are not going to be good no matter what. Even though we've seen the market kind of come back a good bit. Here's my point. If you're fearful that you've missed out on some great gains, you may have another opportunity in the next several months. So just like I've said before on the show, recessions typically don't just last 30 days. They typically last a little bit further piece of time. I think a lot of companies are not going to be worth what they're going for right now because their earnings are going to be pretty ugly in the next 3 months. So take this with a grain of salt. Understand one simple thing. How much risk are you exposed to those companies' profits? If you have too much exposure, it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. Okay. At the same time, don't be worried if you have 6, 7, 8, 10 years to retirement if you think that Larry Kudlow is correct. I just don't think it's going to be a very quick turnaround is where I'm going with this, Jennifer.
Yeah.
So when you look at the two sides, I think we have at least 3 to maybe 6 months left of some fairly uncomfortable times where the market's going to go way up and it's going to go way down. It's going to do that for a while before we truly get a feeling of, hey, when is Disney going to open their parks again? How is that mouse ever going to make money again from, the teacup ride?
Yeah. That thing makes me sick anyway.
Right.
But,
when's Apple going to open their stores? When can I go through the drive-through at Starbucks and get my mochaccino frappa latte? I want to spend $19 on a drink, and I can't even do it.
Oh, we're so restricted right now. But yeah, those companies, we're going to have to see how this plays out for them. Again, it matters when you see it in black and white. That's the thing about earnings season, John.
Oh, yeah.
That's really going to tell the tale, even though we kind of know that everyone's hurting right now. When you see it on paper, it makes it real for investors.
It becomes very real.
Yeah.
It becomes very real. Like, if you hear me on radio and you have an idea, but then you see me in person, you're like, oh, he wasn't kidding. He really does have a face for radio. That's the same point. It's like when you see it in physical ink or you see it physically in real life, it's like, oh, wow. Oh, now I see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen maybe with earnings season. I hope I'm wrong, guys.
Right.
I really hope I'm wrong. I hope all these really good companies found a way to really make money during this time. But I do know that so many companies suspended guidance, which means that their CFOs don't even want to tell you what they think they're finding out.
Yeah.
They don't even want to let us know.
Bad
and that,
sign.
guys, that is a telltale sign for potentially not good news. It doesn't all have to be bad. But my whole point is, hey, if you got the right plan and you're sticking with it and you can stick with it in case we go down further again, you're good.
Yeah.
It's when you can't handle it and you make improper decisions, and that's unfortunately going to be the bad situation. Do you know your maximum drawdown? You should. Have you already eclipsed it? That's bad. What are you going to do now? I don't know, but I hope you do something about it.
Have questions for John? Drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if John Hicks is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through John Hicks, Kentucky Insurance License number 998827.